Well. I'm spinning the block. I posted episode 2, and after at this point, I've watched it probably 6 times, just editing, re-uploading, making sure it was okay, all that. And it's not that I wasn't feeling it, because I was. I mean, it was like it's how I want it to be. Of course, it's the segments, the stuff I talked about was how I felt. But it was just the way it was posted. It felt weird. I don't know. Something felt different about it. So this is gonna be episode 3. It's gonna be posted in the same day. I'm spinning the block, and that's just how it be. Plus, with today, I mean, the inauguration. So Trump just got sworn in, and I just finished watching that. Now, keep in mind, I'm not political. I have no opinion on politics that's publicly out there. But this, if you watch this, it was pretty much the same as like the Jimmy Carter funeral or ceremony, whichever. But whenever it was viral of all of them just like talking amongst each other or not talking as part of that got viral too, there were so many moments where it was just like, what the heck? What is happening here? And then Carrie Underwood came out, and for my stream, it was just like super silent. And but like I heard them talking, so I was like just talking amongst each other. So it didn't look like music was playing. So it was very. It felt, I don't know. The one thing I will take like out of the whole stream that I watched, because I've tuned in like I don't know, not in the beginning. So and I skipped like the first 25% of it probably. But I did see him mention Elon stars and stripes on Mars, and I was like, what? So we'll see what happens with that. I mean, with Trump in the main picture, though, I will also mention how ironic it is that even I fell for the trap. I decided I was like, fuck it, why not? I'll make a TikTok video. I'll make a video where I say farewell TikTok, and I just react to the post I like. Well, never mind now because Trump was like, no, let's get rid of TikTok. But then let me bring it back because let me get that under my name. So, and hey, that's PR right there. That's how it be. He wanted to get it back under his name and he got it, so he let everyone have TikTok again. I see everyone posting their story, the screenshot. Some are saying thanks Trump, some are saying fuck you Trump for letting this happen. And I was like, okay, this is too political. I'm gonna stay out of it. But it is crazy seeing the immediately I would see people just openly talk about, well, I'm learning Mandarin so I can go hop on Red Note, and that blew my mind. And I'm gonna be honest with you, you can go back and see the people who are gonna learn Mandarin and hop on Red Note like within a snap. Those are the people you can't trust, dude. They're like, what the fuck? That is crazy to me. And learning other languages and like learning Mandarin, yeah, I get in general it'd be a cool thing or like it'd be a useful tool at certain points, but to on a flip of a dime just to go switch from TikTok to Red Note, I was like, that is crazy. What the hell? But it was so common, and I'm curious what TikTok is doing now. I think it's on like a 90-day grace period of supposedly it's like, all right, let's get Americans time to get their head on straight. But I've seen so many just like influencers post out like, yo, I'm talking with TikTok, we're doing this, or I'm having a meeting with TikTok, or I'm trying to save. And it's the most random people too, other than like Kai Cenat and like some real famous people. But like, well, what are y'all talking to TikTok about? What is your goal? You should be talking to the government, not TikTok, I feel like. I'm thinking this video is going to be if I post one that's like short, because that was way shorter compared to what my podcast used to be. It was like 20 something minutes. That is pretty much how I anticipate this to be. Season 2 is going to be more of the YouTube vibes, I feel like. Because one, I've just been doing YouTube videos a lot for just like random games I play with my friends. But on the opposite side, I don't have just the talking to the camera type of videos out there. So I figured this is probably going to end up being more of those two kind of combining to one. And since I did season one, which is me recklessly talking to the camera, it's going to be an unhinged season one. It's going to be this currently season two of just like, I guess, the YouTube phase. And maybe season three, I might try to set up an actual podcast setup or something. I don't know. But this is just what I felt like I would enjoy more. I would be able to want to hop on and actually make videos with it instead of just like, oh yeah, I guess I have to force myself to do that. Like I posted a video today, and I'm posting another one just to so I can like be like, okay, yeah, that's what I want to be out there. But we have to get to the sad shit, man. Drake, dude, why is he suing? I don't know. He's suing UMG, and it's like official. Yeah, the lawsuit's in. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. But he's involving streamers now. It's all insane. It's diabolical what he's doing. Because they've done the same for him, but now they're because UMG made a few people, and maybe it wasn't even a few, maybe it was just the Not Like Us song, but they removed the copyright, the action that happens. What the fuck was that? If if you're not watching, I don't know what that was, but that was crazy. That happened like live on OBS. That threw me all the way off. But this just makes him look so much more of like a bitch. It's insane. Because in my mind, he's gonna come out with another song, because apparently he's still obligated to make one more album, which doesn't even make sense to me. I don't even know what is he gonna throw together for his next album after the whole 20v1, the him against UMG, the him going to random streamers. Who's he gonna have featuring? Because Future has to be in it. Just more of like a if he wants to try to get back on like the positive side of things, and he drops an album with Future not on it, that's gonna do more hurt than most other things. I bet. There's really no good way to explain it other than he's just salty. He thinks this is the best way because they took like $200,000 away from him. He was supposed to get 600,000 for getting his deal, but after the whole Not Like Us thing, they were like, well, you're not worth 600. How about like 400? And even in academics perspective, he was like, to us, it may not seem like the crazy amount. Just lose to 200K. But to him, he's probably like, I want my 200K. And it makes sense, but still, suing is crazy. I can't imagine the conversations that he would be having with like the people, the group around him after it went viral that he's suing. Because you got to tiptoe at that point. You can't just be like, "Hey man, how you doing?" That's a loaded conversation right there. Unless he's the type to try to act all tough and be like, "Oh yeah, yeah, no, I'm cool. It doesn't bother me." But yep, he's suing, and it's Dunzo. I'm sure there's gonna be some sort of like documentary or something that comes out eventually. Even with Drake dropping like the 100 gigs in the beef, there's just so much stuff happening on both sides and stuff behind the scenes that eventually, once stuff settles, eventually maybe there's got to be some sort of talks of like a documentary. But that was the yapping for the pod. It's the first time I'm doing this one. It's called Certified Banger. And pretty much, I love music, but there's a lot of music that's released, especially with this next artist, that there's motives and goals behind the release. And whenever an artist passes away, that's whenever you really find out whose motives and the goals are. They're really well executed. They're nice. They're pleasant to both sides, the image of the artist and the listeners. And then there's quite the contrary of, yeah, we kind of just need money. And he passed away, but he made a bunch of random SoundCloud songs that he never released. And I mean, we gotta do what we gotta do for money. So we're just gonna throw them all into a random album that we think he might have been trying to piece together, and they just release it to the fans. It works, and they get money from it, but the fans realize it, and it slowly starts to kill the fan base off one by one. And hey, that's the more power to you. But there's also that happening lets you appreciate more the side of who I'm about to talk about, which is Mac Miller. And I was never like the hardcore Mac Miller fan really, but I liked his music enough to appreciate what the fuck he was talking about in his lyrics. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't like him for like, oh yeah, that song sounded good. I was like, oh yeah, I like Mac Miller, and then which also after that became I like his music. So if you don't know who he is, which I would assume anybody watching this video, you know who Mac Miller is. He passed away in 2018. It's crazy. Died of overdose, fentanyl, coke. Very sad. And his estate is actually one of the few estates that is they try to masterpiece his career even after he passed because whenever Mac was at the end of his life, dude, even you could tell by these songs, he was recording these as he was like passing away pretty much. So like of course he wasn't like slowly passing away and he OD'd and it was like a sudden death. But he just felt like a weird thing in his life, I guess, because these songs are pretty much talking about him dying. Like this is what he wanted to be released after he passed away. And I went through and listened to all of them one by one. I wrote down an opinion for how I felt about the song for one by one, and then at the end I pretty much just went through all of them, combined them, and was like, all right, how many did I like? How many were I neutral about? And how many did I dislike? Overall, I like the album. It's an album that you would like chill to, like you're relaxing at home and you're vibing. Or if you're into drugs still and you're like, yeah, man, I like doing Molly or if other types of drugs like that, you'd probably like, not probably, you would like this album and that too. But I wasn't doing any of that and I was just sober listening to it, which I didn't dislike, you know? It was a good album. I liked seven of the songs. Two of the first two weren't really songs. Well, I guess the second one was, and that was like the main feature with SZA. And I'm not the main feature because there was an actual song that she was in, but on Apple Music, that's the only song for me that it showed like featuring SZA, which was weird. But she was in another one later on though. My favorite, I would probably say, was I fucked with mannequins. They were disrespecting the album because whenever you listen to like Apple Music specifically, I'm sure Spotify does some sort of way of this, but they have the little dots beside the songs that are like the most played on the albums. And usually whenever an album drops, of course it's like the first two or three, which for Mac Miller's it was the first two, and then it was Funny Papers, which I mean, I feel like Funny Papers is gonna be the most played on the album because of the SZA fans, just like numbers wise. All the other songs, like there's a few of them that feel like skits, which I don't dislike either, you know. But you have to be like a Mac Miller fan to listen to that necessarily. That's my opinion. And one thing I do want to mention is like, well, two things. Uh, I'm not the biggest Mac Miller fan, nor not the like a huge critique on music. So I'm not gonna give like the Jaw Talks music review and this is what I think and this is the composing and this is how the beats blend together. I'm not gonna do all of that. This is just a guy who listens to music daily and who has listened to a bunch of Mac Miller and appreciates what Mac Miller has recently like released even after his passing. But $5 pony rides, I fucks with that one. Halfway through shows how artistically skilled he is. Of just like, all right, boom. It's like within a snap. And I'm not gonna say that you just gotta listen to that. It was crazy. But like I said, it was just one of those I would chill to, and because I wouldn't put it on in my car. It's probably too chill for the car. I like upbeat shit whenever I'm driving, and that's some people like slow and chill stuff in the car. Then this is probably all for you. But overall, I did like the whole album. I say that, but I didn't add any to any playlists, so I might have to do like a re-listen to be like, all right, this one's worth the add. Because Mannequins almost got added, but I might have to listen to it like a third time to be like, yeah, one of the it's okay. I don't want to say it's an interlude, but it's Rick's piano. It felt like an interlude, but I liked it too. I kept listening, then I was like, wow, yeah, I like this. Okay, so if I would consider if it's a certified banger or not, I and keep in mind this is just my opinion. I know if anybody who's like a hardcore Mac Miller fan that watches this, they would for sure shit on me and be like, "Well, you don't know this, this, and this." All I'm saying is I'm gonna let it be a certified banger, but it's the borderline of like this is what it takes to be a certified banger, and it's right here. Majority of the songs I would go back and listen to over and over again. Do I want to throw that into the playlist though because of the vibe changes and there's only so few that are actually upbeat. That's and there's the interludes versus skits, or if they weren't those, it felt like those. You know what I'm saying? So I would consider it a certified banger, but it's on the border of that in my opinion. Fuck. Oh my god. So I got a text in the middle of me saying something, and after I finished my sentence, I was like, "Let me check my phone." And now there's just a bunch of memes going, like how the Jimmy, like I literally just said about Jimmy Carter's ceremony. There's so many memes going of like I'll put it right here of Zuckerberg. That's what the fuck, dude. Good old social media. Two more things about the inauguration that I'd never even mentioned. One is the male and female thing was wild, and Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, is going crazy right now. Two, Brandon pointed it out to me, and I put it somewhere on the screen. He didn't put his hand on the Bible, and that's gonna matter to a few amount of people, but the people it matters to, that's a very questionable thing. I'm curious what's up with that. So the next thing I'm gonna start is another segment with I may have done this in the intermission episode. I'm not necessarily sure, but it's Drew's top five, and this specific one will be about alcohol. And if you know me, I'm not that big of an alcohol drinker. Like I will at the comedy club, but then I'm never just like at home, like, well, I'm gonna make myself a drink. It's not really what I do. I do have a top five though. So like, I'm starting from five to one. I put five or four. I'd make it like a wine because it's the one I would drink the least. But I can appreciate like a white, like a wine, like a Chardonnay. Like I feel like whenever I do drink wine, red wine, I don't know. Like it's always been a little iffy. But white wine is the one that I was like, oh yeah, fucks with that. And that's the one that like I really drink the least. All the other ones after that and on the list, I for sure I got like a specific brand for. Because I don't know if I necessarily have a brand for like wine. But number four, it's definitely I drink it not as much as the other ones, but more than Chardonnay for sure. Whiskey, which the brand I drink for whiskey it's got to be Crown Royal. I'm even sure I got a fucking what I say. This was just over there said. It's just one of those things where it can never go wrong if you mix it with Coke, you got some ice. That's a good time right there. So I feel like that's a pretty solid choice for number four. And number three, man, it does have a story along with it. I don't know if I've even mention this on like a random like video anywhere or online anywhere at all. But it's the taste of it alone, it put itself to three. Plus, like, all right, so it's rum, and I just like rum in general, like the flavor, because again, it mixes with Coke very well. I can just drink a lot of rum just by itself, and it tastes good. Now, this specific brand, it me and it had a little battle at one point, and it's Deadhead. And if you've never seen or drink, man, this beat the shit out of me one night. And whenever I tell you beat it, I'm not exaggerating. It was me and Peyton, which episode 2, he was the shout out. I mentioned how he's been through thick and thin with me. He's that's a prime example, dude. That story is brutal. Let's just say to end it, I ended with not the amount of clothes on that I entered the setting with. There was yak on the floor, and your boy was unconscious. He had like I think one drink, like one cup. I had the entire bottle. So anyone who knows me, you've probably realized there's a reason why I'm not a drinker. Like whenever I do stuff, it's in moderation. Whenever I do alcohol, it's to ramp up the fun. So like no, that was crazy. Now, normally whenever I'll drink, it's just like I can cap it here and I'm done. But if I'm like a setting where it's a party, aka my birthday, and it's a good time, everyone's just getting lit, and there's just drinks just there already, just ready for us to drink. I mean, I'll just keep going until my body's like, hey man, we gotta stop this. So that's what happened with the Deadhead. It was just me and Peyton. I drank it and I was like, yo, that shit's good. Drank it real quick. And then I made another glass, drank that real quick. And I guess I just drank the entire bottle at that point. And I was like, oh, I'm fucked. And then I died pretty quickly. But it tasted so good that it made its way to number 3. Plus, like I said, I just like rum. Like Captain Morgan, and I enjoy a rum and Coke. Now that those two are out of the way, I also would like to add they're 4 and 3 for a reason, whiskey and rum, because you've always been told that dark liquor makes me a different person that I am aware of. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm more talkative for sure. I'm definitely more extrovert, you could say. I'll talk to whoever about whatever. Now the next two, which is number 2, is tequila. Don Julio. Love me some fucking tequila. Not as much as number 1, but tequila is just one of those things where, like, yeah, man, I don't necessarily know what brand is going to be the best. Don Julio is just the one that, like, I feel like I drink the most of tequila. It's part of the the clear liquor. It doesn't really have like a hangover effect really, so that's number 2 for that reason. The taste wise, I mean, it's the same as number 1. Like, there's only so much you can do. You can mask it with a good tasting drink, but like if you shoot it, or like if you're just drinking it on like just ice, yeah, man, it's not gonna do much taste wise. But after a few of them, you're not gonna taste it, so that doesn't really that helps. But and number 1, of course, if you know me, it's obvious. I mean, fuck, it's everywhere. I feel like it's right there. I'm sure there's somewhere else in here that's somewhere. Vodka. Some Tito's. Love me some Tito's. And it's so funny that like I started this and being like, I'm not really much of a drinker. Like I'm not that big into alcohol. I got so much alcohol merch and like just alcohol here. I don't. I've had these 2 bottles of Tito's for months probably. One of them before Christmas, and I feel like I got one of them before Christmas. So I don't even know if I will drink. This one's got like more than half probably. Tito's has got to be number 1. That's anytime someone's like, "Hey, you want to drink tonight?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." I'll make sure I get some Tito's. Yeah, that's gonna be the top 5 for alcohol. It's gonna be the wine, whiskey, rum, tequila, and vodka, which would also be Chardonnay, Crown Royal, Deadhead, Don Julio, and Tito's. So that's my top five. I'm not the biggest alcohol head. I try to be nice. I just wanted to say I'm not an alcoholic, so like, and as end every podcast episode, it's gonna be with a shout out to a real one. This shout out, and by the way, I'm posted 2 podcast episodes in one day, so I don't want to like make Peyton's shout out look, less as a shout out than Logan's or fucking Michael's. Which if we're looking at that, then I would have to redo Michael's because Michael's is an intermission episode. Anyways, this is how my brain fucking works. But shout out to Brandon, dude. Brando from the Bando, and he's a goofy son of a bitch. I love him for it. He's super funny. He's the nicest guy you'll ever meet. But he's so freaking goofy, man. We were doing a podcast one time, and he was like, well, I don't really, and Peyton just brought this up, and he was at my house yesterday. He was like, I don't really, feel comfortable being on camera and just saying my name, Brandon. So, like, call me Brando. Like, that's gonna be, like, alright, yeah. Someone that's watching that being like, I know who this person is. And then they're watching the video of me and Peyton, who they know, and they're like, who is this Brando mysterious person between them? I'm not sure who that. Come on, dude, they're gonna know. But that's how his brain works. He's also another one who's been into the thick of it with me. He was one of the only ones that here, I think it's somewhere on this board that you could see. I think it's right here. Oh, this again. Bro, why is the OBS do that? If you put your thumbs up, it just has like a light that pops up. But anyways, right here, Logan drew this. It is a ambulance with the 4G LTE branding on it. And that was a group that we used to rock. And sadly enough, he's the only one that I actually hang out with in that group. Shout out to 4G LTE too. But I hang out with Brandon all the time. Like, we were hanging out last night. He's also another one that whenever I died on my birthday, I was sharing the birthday day with him. His birthday is one day before mine, coincidentally enough. So we were spending the first half of that party. It's Brandon's birthday. We're celebrating Brandon, and then at 12, it's gonna be my birthday. As many of you probably realize and have heard the story, I didn't make it to my birthday, but I had a good time celebrating Brandon for his birthday that day. And that is it for this episode 3. Hopefully you enjoyed, and I shall see you in 4.